Get a cup, get a cup, get a cup. Hello, hello. Welcome back everyone to another video. I'm First Slim, and today we're looking at another video from Tommy NFG. This is called The Age of Addictions. And I assume it's regarding vapes and like those new packets of like nicotine stuff called like Zyn packs or whatever. I assume it's something to do with that. And maybe, you know, triple X type videos. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's what we're getting into. I'm not sure though. But with that being said, the original link's in the description. Let's begin.
Thing in this world, and addictions have always been a thing in this world, and it's inevitable people get them. Each generation has had a different set of ones affect them more compared to the next. Boomers were more addicted to cigarettes and alcohol, being the victim of the tobacco industry and having them pay off doctors to say things like this.
You know, this night work's kind of rough, isn't it? That's right. But a camel's always a pleasure.
Yes, folks, the pleasing mildness of a camel is just as enjoyable to a doctor as it is to you or me.
Yeah, they used to say that they were actually healthy because it helped relax you and stuff like that.
Hey, it's all good. They made it for that stress by beating their millennial children for asking them to get a toy. Millennials and Gen X are more addicted to alcohol and prescription drugs, and also posting the most cringe content you'll ever see on TikTok.
Oh. I can't even look at that, dude. I can't even look at that.
I guess that's what happens when you were the victim of the generation that would beat you just because. You know what? If they're having fun.
All the generations beat you just because, except for like the last one. We need to bring it back.
Oh, hell no. On their side of the internet, I'm happy for them. And of course we end up with the dump of all that, which is Gen Z. But I think we're kind of different because before you had to do a little more searching in the past generations to get that addiction. You know, like have the money to buy a cigarette or alcohol. But now because of the digital age, it's made it almost impossible for Gen Z to not have an addiction. The amount of people in Gen Z who just have an addiction
Gambling is actually probably one of the biggest going on right now, I think. Like these gambling sites are huge.
And we act like it's normal is kinda insane. We were the first test group of the internet's effect on a younger generation, and now that everyone's on the internet 24/7, like 90% of people have an addiction because of the internet. So I want to talk about all the ones that are getting pushed and more amplified with us, I would say. And we could start off with food. Okay, food didn't start with us, and Gen Z isn't even the fattest generation, but because of online ads and social media ads, it's very easy to push. We haven't even paid attention to the thought of how many
Did that guy just put him in a like dip him in oil, pull him out, and he was a chicken strip? That what just happened there? What was that? Hold on. Also, Instagram, TikTok, they themselves are addictions because the way their algorithms are made and the way the videos are so like ADHD centric, it really pushes, you know, a dopamine, you know, hit to the head. Because I find myself doing that now too, and I hate it. I hate it because I never really did it up until the last couple weeks. I've been looking more at like the YouTube shorts or whatever, and I can feel it frying my head.
Delivery apps we have. Bro, growing up, I remember the most you could deliver to your house was a pizza. It would be late night, and if you were craving something and didn't want to drive to an actual physical location, your ass had to order some Domino's or Papa John's. I know it had to suck working at one of those places back then, though. Because the amount of prank calls that would go viral on YouTube of people just trolling them was astronomical. Like this channel, Ownage Pranks, used to go A1 back in the day. Bro would spout the most stereotypical racist accent to a worker and ruin their day. And you don't even need the delivery apps anymore. If you just download the fast food apps, they get it delivered for you. You know, you got your Chick-fil-A's and McDonald's, Taco Bell, Food, Chipotle. Wait, what? Yeah, believe it or not, that was a real delivery service app until it got taken down.
Why did it get taken down? I wonder why. Is that actually the N-word? I don't use any of the delivery service apps. I don't use any of them because I'm not paying 3 times the price for a friggin' burger than, you know, I'm gonna spend the extra couple dollars in gas and go get it myself.
Wonder how such a family-friendly thing could violate Apple's terms of service. And if you download one of these food apps, you could save like half your costs by using them. They make it easier than ever to get big backed because they'll give you the best deals ever that for some reason they don't offer if you don't order on the app. And quarantine at my biggest back is I was trapping off that McDonald's.
So you're telling me I'm losing money by not ordering on the app? I don't want to get delivered because that's where they charge you a lot, and then you have to give someone else a tip, and then it adds up and it adds up. Like I know for certain apps, for like certain the restaurant apps, you can activate their codes or whatever, and then you can just scan it when you're at the drive-thru, and then you get, you know, the discount. Like, I don't think you have to have it delivered.
McDonald's app getting a free large fry with a $1 purchase. You got with 2 million McDonald's points who order basically every day for the past 4 years. At that point, do you get to meet Ronald McDonald or something? Because that has to deserve some type of reward. TikTok got to be the biggest influence for food nowadays, though. Because how many times have you seen a food spot on TikTok and it's near you? And you think to yourself, well, damn, now I gotta try to see what the hype is. With traveling nowadays, everyone's go-to when looking for food is going to TikTok to see what the people are saying is the best. I always think how insane Keith Lee's come up was, and it shows how big backed we really are. Because he quite literally will go to a food spot, give a review, and all it takes is a God damn, that's good. And the whole restaurant is fully booked up for the rest of the year. That's not a diss either, by the way, you know what I'm saying? We F with Keith Lee over here. And then you got those mukbang videos that became popular where they're eating gargantuan masses of food. I learned that some people watch these because they want to feel like they're literally eating the food, but their stomach can't take it, so they watch someone else do it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's if you're on a diet, then you can watch mukbang videos.
I don't know what the fuck is wrong with them. I just get sick and want to yak out a car window after looking at these. If you eating like this, you dead ass abusing your stomach wall lining. Next, we got vaping. For all the people who watch me and vape, I just want to let you know you're bigger than the vape. So do me a favor and put it down for your health now and your future. And pick up a cigarette like a real I always find it so
Yeah, be a real man, be a real man.
saying that our generation was bombarded with PSAs about smoking and the harmful effects of it. Everyone ended up thinking we wouldn't be affected by it as much and be a much more healthy generation until they released flavors with the name.
Yeah, then Big Smoke got around the laws.
Mango cherry freeze and Fortnite carts that no one knows the origin of to change minds instantly. I knew our generation was going to be the most addicted to it when I would walk in the school bathroom and casually see two in a stall with clouds of smoke coming out of it. And you'd have some dude on lookout paying attention to the sound of the jingling of keys to tell if a staff member was around or not. Then they start fumbling around and waving the smoke around to try to hide it. I didn't even know how bad it was at first though, until I found out kids in elementary school are doing it too. As a kid in elementary
Gotta start him young. What the friggin' elementary? That's crazy.
School, where the f are you getting the money to even afford that? Are you selling your rare Fortnite skins or something, then ordering them on eBay?
Clearly their parents have something to do with it, I would assume.
According to statistics, 3.5% of middle schoolers in America vape as well. Low-key, we gotta bring back those scary anti-smoking ads. Because I remember when I was a kid being terrified of the thought of smoking. They would show the diagram of a healthy lung versus smoker lung, and I would have nightmares for the rest of the week. And no, you can't quit at any time. If you're somebody that has to sit there and reason with your friends like you're making a deal on Wall Street that you can, then let me introduce you to the last stage of grief, acceptance. It's okay to accept the fact.
Yeah, nicotine's friggin' pretty addicting. However, let me just say that I have tried vapes and cigars. I have not tried cigarettes because I know they're on another level of addicting. But from my experience, the chemicals that they use for cigars, which I believe is the same for cigarettes, the chemicals in them enhance the addiction to nicotine so much more than just vape. Because anytime I had vape or whatever, I never really, I was never really addicted to it. But the chemicals that are put into cigarettes, that is what makes it so much more addicting. I mean, think of it. If nicotine was super addicting all by itself, why would there be a need to put like another 1,000 chemicals into a cigarette, right? There would be no need.
Fact that the rest of your friends are gonna live amazing, willing, full lives until 80, 90, or 100. And at 40, you're gonna drop randomly in your kitchen after those mango cherry freeze chemicals reach your heart. And weed smokers, where y'all going? Cause y'all ain't safe from this either. In general, I think out of a weed smoker and vape smoker, the weed smoker is usually more healthy. Mainly because the product doesn't have mysterious chemicals imported from a factory in Beijing. Now,
yeah, it's healthier, but it's still carcinogenic. Right, from the actual smoke. There's still the particles of, what is it, like carbon or something that's created from the smoke, or that's in the smoke. So it's still not that healthy.
Nowadays, though, they be lacing the hell out of that weed, so I don't even know about that anymore. You could be picking up what...
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
you think is some regular Zaw from your local dealer, and it ends up being laced with Fent, raccoon, and pee. The most annoying thing about weed smokers
perfect
is
combo.
they do the same thing as vape smokers, saying they can quit at any time, but they'll also argue with you, saying it makes them more productive, and they'll bring up successful people that do it as an example, like, I don't know, Snoop Dogg or Wiz Khalifa. The person saying it, though, 99% of the time is never productive. Like, you ask them what they did through the week, and it's take a shower once, rage on Valorant, goon to Sophie Rain, then smoke 7 times. If you're not
That's the life of a businessman, folks. That's the life of a businessman. Yeah, it does not make you productive. It really doesn't. There are some people who think that, and there's some people who can, you know, like Snoop Dogg has been doing it for the majority of his life, and he's productive. He's very busy, but he has such a tolerance to it that I think at this point it doesn't really cause it helps him function, because he just needs it, basically. But anyone else is kind of like, it's going to do the opposite.
Not one of those productive people using it, then you can't say it. And you'll also never be as productive as someone sober in that time. It's so bad, you got who will work the whole week, then half of their paycheck is going to some rolling papers in that flight duck pack. I think the reason why the rise of addictions in smoking weed is because it's so easy to access nowadays. They got whole apps meant to deliver strains to people, and you can go on Snapchat and casually see 10 dealers in a 1-mile radius. Back then, people were scared of getting caught, especially when the internet wasn't a thing. Plus, it was a lot more penalized, so people didn't take the risk. Next, we got gooning. I already made a whole video on this.
Hey, I even said this in the title, or in at the beginning, you know, I think XXX stuff, related stuff. Or is this OnlyFans?
So we don't gotta spend a lot of time on this. But the algorithms nowadays, more than ever, are meant to fuel horniness. Like, have y'all ever opened your Instagram feed or TikTok feed and they're literally throwing it in your face? No matter how many times I click not interested, it doesn't work. I think they have the button there just for fun. The best platform I see optimized where I don't see it is YouTube, because my algo is built brick by brick. It still happens though, trust me. Like, somebody watching this probably got some freaky AI chatbot ad. But on Instagram and TikTok, they purposely don't listen to me. I just want one person to do.
One, look up stuff that you're actually interested in on these platforms, because I don't think it really matters if you're saying you're not interested. I mean, it should, but if you're still clicking on these videos and watching them, you're still telling the algorithm that you're interested. Whether you're saying that you're not interested, if you're still clicking and watching it, that tells them that you're interested. Look up things that you actually like. I don't know, sports or gambling or whatever. Look up something you actually like and like a bunch of those videos, and tell the algorithm that, hey, I'm interested in seeing more of this stuff.
Do some research on these algorithms and see if they got a horny piece of code written in there. A lot of people also talk about why were we so sexual at a young age, which is kind of true, you know, when I think about it. It's a mix of things. One being the internet, although it's not as bad as now. Like, a Gen Alpha kid with unmonitored access in 2025 is probably gonna win this corn at the age of 7. Probably a mix of us looking at these Disney stars when we were kids and thinking of some freaky. The crazy thing to me was the shift of how OF stars and corn stars were perceived. Back then, I remember when a girl got leaked, it was the worst thing to happen to her life. Like, her whole sacred temple was exposed to the
Yeah, now it's like, oh, that's just a preview. You want to see more? Subscribe to my OnlyFans.
world. Or just somebody ousted as doing that line of work. They would never want that info out. But nowadays, if you see a link tree in that bio, it's like a Russian roulette of if you'll see an OnlyFans link or not. It's just a casual thing now to see someone naked online. Never in my life growing up, I would think someone I went to high school with would start one, but I'm about 0 to 3 wrong, so good thing I didn't put a bet on that. Oh, and speaking of bets, gambling is next. Parlays
I knew this one.
have by themselves ruined the financial dreams of millions of Gen Z. Because with parlays, it feels like you're not putting much up. And if you already hate your job or you're trying to make it out, you're gonna take the risk and throw in something you can lose, like $10 or $20. But that ends up adding up, and as you keep losing, you end up losing like half your week's salary over some stupid ass prediction.
Yeah, I understand how tempting it can be with gambling, because like a little bit of money can turn into a huge amount of money for that very small percentage of people. But there are ways to make more money, or to make money easier, that's a safer way, you know, such as in the stock market, in stocks that pay dividends, stuff like that, where you put money in, that $10 you're wasting or every couple days on gambling, you're to put that into a stock that paid a nice dividend. You do that for a few years. At the end of that, you're going to be receiving an okay paycheck every couple months or every month from these stocks. And the stock value might have gone up during that time too. And so you've made money there, and you've also been getting paid every month or every couple months from these stocks. It's at least, you know, making you something more than the gambling.
My opinion is sports gambling is way more of a problem for us than traditional gambling. Like, I feel like that was the problem more back then. Although we definitely got our addicts for that too. Kick as a platform is pretty much meant as a funnel to stake where you can play slots to your heart's desire. Sports betting wouldn't even be that bad if everyone doing it actually had the disposable income to. But there should be no reason your whole paycheck is going on a bet. And it's really hard to stop because when you do get those wins, you always think you could get one potentially with another bet. And I don't know about y'all, but I've been getting a whole lot more of sports betting app ads a lot. It makes
I hate sports betting ads. And I'll say this. Sports betting, like if you're betting on this team versus this team, that's a lot higher of an odd of winning than slots. I've said this before in other videos, but slots have such horrible odds of winning because, at least from my understanding, they have a payout ratio, which means they'll pay out at a certain amount, or they pay out every certain amount of spins or whatever, where it's kind of rigged against you. But if you're betting on one team losing versus another team, your odds are kind of, they're not 50-50 exactly, but they're closer to 50-50, which is a lot better chance of winning compared to slot machine.
Makes no sense too because I live in Texas. I can't even gamble here. So why are they even pushing it here when it's banned? Like, it makes zero sense to me. It's almost like they know people can use VPNs to do it anyways. And they be giving some crazy ass bonuses just for you to join and make a single bet. Like, who wouldn't take a free $100 to bet for just a tiny risk of forever being indebted to the app and watching every single one of the 500 bets you made in the past week? Just a tiny risk though. The sports betting industry growth is so insane when you look at the chart. Just 7 years ago, it was...
Yeah, they need to ban it. They really need to ban this. Otherwise, you're going to turn into like friggin' Australia, where they have such a massive gambling problem over there, where they're afraid of closing it or shutting it down because they're relying on how many jobs are being used for it. Where if if they all of a sudden close it or ban it, then all these people who are employed by these gambling services are going to lose jobs, and it's going to be bad for the economy. So we need to really get a hold of this now and block it from, one, advertising. I don't care if people gamble with your own money. I don't care. It's not my business. But advertising it to people who are younger, advertising it in general, I would say should be banned.
Was only $209 million, and now it's around $4 to $6 billion. If this ain't an indication of a recession, then I don't know what is. People's doing anything to get money. I guarantee there's some dads out there risking their paycheck and if their kids get to eat, just to see if the bet will hit of LeBron getting over 40 points in a game. Next, we got caffeine. And it's time...
This is an OG one. This is an OG one.
Time to be open and honest, y'all. This is probably the thing I match closest with. My excuses, though, I only take pre-workout on days I work out, which is 5 days in a week. Not really a good excuse, though, but...
What is that guy doing?
But trust me, I can quit anytime. I just need a little powder sprinkled in my toothpaste to get my bones jolting. Caffeine addiction is probably the easiest one to get because when you're tired in a day and need a little boost, it's one of the few legal substances you can take to boost your energy. Sadly, they banned the original Coke formula, but I've heard there's ways to get around it. It also doesn't help.
Yeah, Colombia. I really like caffeine as well. Like, I'd say out of all the addictions, caffeine's got to be my one that I'm doing every day. I have like 4 cups a day, 3 normal, and then like, I'll have like 2 decaf. I also have pre-workout before I go work out. I have that. That's got caffeine in it. I'd say caffeine is one of my biggest weaknesses.
That on TikTok, people will post their favorite coffee recipes or drink they got at Starbucks. Then people run to the store to get the exact same one to see what the hype is about. Everybody all of a sudden also started drinking matcha and making matcha everything. Matcha coffees, matcha pancakes, matcha noodles. A couple of years ago, would have seen something like this and
yeah, isn't matcha like really high caffeine too?
Fried you on the internet for even having it. But now all you gotta do is post the trying matcha noodles on TikTok and people will love it just because it's matcha. Where the did all this matcha talk come from though? Like, matcha is cool to me, but how did they get to the point where we're facing potential global shortages of it because everyone's having it? Also, having energy drinks is more commonplace now. Like, I remember in the past, if you told someone you was drinking energy drinks, they thought you were cooked, providing for 4 different families on a one-man salary while getting 4 hours of sleep. Every company now, for some reason, has their own line of energy drinks. Like, who is deadass drinking the Toxic Waste energy drink and the Sonic the Hedgehog energy drink? Actually, that last one might not be too bad. It might just have me a grab it. I think caffeine addiction is also rising too because a lot more people are sleep deprived nowadays. It's a blessing for real if you can get 8 full hours of sleep in this time. So when people are tired, they say, why not? Let me just get 1 energy drink for the day. There is a very big risk with it though, and we can't forget. Energy drinks have have only been getting used a lot more in the past 2 decades, so we still don't have long-term studies on their effects. And there's even
like the caffeine in it. Is the caffeine doesn't really matter, I don't think. Well, some of them are way too high, I think, for caffeine. But it's all the other chemicals in there that I think is where there's not a ton of research on. And that's where I think is probably more dangerous. Because coffee's been used for a long time and it doesn't really hurt. And there's so many studies that I've seen that say coffee's good, or that say coffee's bad, or then they say coffee's good. And I see it like every year they'll change and there'll be another study saying coffee's good or bad. And the only conclusion I can make is that coffee's probably good and probably bad. Like, both of these studies, all the studies that are done can probably have some truth, but they can all coexist at once where, yeah, the coffee might make you live longer, but also it might increase your chances of diarrhea.
Tragic cases about it, like the case of Katie Donnell. Katie Donnell was a 28-year-old teacher and fitness enthusiast, and she always tried to live a healthy lifestyle and had a lot of caffeine through the day as one of the things. She would have 3 energy drinks a day and a caffeine supplement on top of that.
I think even on the energy drinks themselves, they say you're not supposed to have more than 2
before going to the gym. And by the way, the recommended max amount of caffeine you're supposed to have in a day is 400 milligrams. Depending on how much caffeine those drinks had, she could have been having like 2x or 3x the daily limit. But even if they were smaller amounts, I think we can all agree that just the sound of having 3 energy drinks a day is insane. And in 2021, Katie had a heart attack and had to be put in the hospital, where 10 days later, she sadly passed away from the effects of it. So if you're near having 3 drinks a day, it might be time
an energy drink and a pre-workout? Are you crazy?
to reconsider how many you're having. The best schedule for people that do want to have caffeine is 5 days a week with at least 2 days off it. The more you have it, the more tolerant you get to it. So it's
Yeah, like I'm pretty tolerant to it. I'm pretty tolerant. I remember when my brother went away somewhere, when he came back, he hadn't had coffee for a bit. And then when he tried it again, he was like, whoa, and then he had to like cut down how much he was having until his tolerance built back up. But I think I have a decent tolerance.
It's always better to have a little reset just so the effects still hit. It's also a problem too that kids are now starting to have energy drinks. When Prime released its energy drinks, there was parents complaining that their kids were having them and it was causing problems. I don't know what type of stress these is even going through to be having energy drinks. I only started drinking them after having some adult type responsibilities. Before 18, I wasn't having them. And once again, parents strike again at not monitoring their kids, because how do they even get access to these energy drinks? Since I said I only have them when I work out, we might as well throw gym in there as an addiction. Some of y'all might think it's odd that gym is here, but if you see,
it is addicting, but it's this is healthy, okay? Compared to every other thing you've listed on here, if you are going to the gym every day for the rest of your life, you'll probably be better off for it. You know, for the most part, it's healthy, and it'll really benefit you into old age. Because a lot of old people, as soon as you pass like 50 to 60, your body starts deteriorating, and if you aren't maintaining the muscle, you will lose it. You will lose it. Like my grandfather, before he passed away, you know, not long ago, he was so weak and he couldn't barely do anything, and the doctors kept on recommending exercises, and he didn't do it. He at that point he was too far gone in order to, you know, really do what he should have done. So exercising, especially in old age, is so important.
see how fitness social media is now? You know how bad it can get. There's been a lot more of a rise in gym influencers since 2020. I'm glad the gym is becoming way more popular though, because in general, it's good for everyone's health. But the lengths some people take to look like some of the influencers online is unbelievable. It's universally known now.
Yeah, don't be taking this kind of stuff, because this is not going to be good for your old age, you know? You might not make it there.
That a lot of influencers online straight up use performance enhancing drugs to look the best. One of the biggest known cases I would say is The Rock. Everyone knows for his physique at his age, it's almost impossible for him to look like this without taking some type of performance enhancing drug. He always denies it and says he doesn't use them, which no one believes. Because when your job is to look the best, a lot of these influencers and celebs feel like they have no choice but to take them to keep up with everyone. And people in the gym community point out all the time who may be fake or real. One of the biggest gym influencers on YouTube's job is literally predicting from years of experience what influencer or celeb transformation is real or fake. But even if the influencers doing it are natural, it's never good to compare yourself because their entire job is meant to look good. Like they
Yeah, don't, you know, you You know the saying, comparison is the theft of joy? It's very true. When you're comparing yourself to other people, you will, for the most part, always feel bad, and it's very negative for your health. What you should compare yourself to is how you were in the past. Am I healthier now? Am I more fit now? Am I stronger now? Am I, reaching for my goals better now? Am I reading books now? If you compare yourself to how you were in the past, then you have something to go off of that's actually attainable and that the comparison makes sense towards. But if you're comparing yourself to someone who's on steroids, who's in the gym 2 hours a day, that's just stupid. You're not going to compete.
They can spend hours at a time in the gym every day to look like that. Meanwhile, the average person usually gets out of school or work and can have 1 or 2 hours max. And it leads to people thinking they have to take the same drugs those influencers are taking. Nowadays, there's people who will show their journey through taking steroids or testosterone casually. I guess it's kinda good they're being honest, but like, can you imagine people did this for any other drug? Imagine a meth addict showing their journey of taking it through the years.
Yeah, it's just screenshots of their bank account going down.
And the people taking these drugs are getting younger and younger because they look up to these guys, ruining their whole body before it even got time to fully develop. It's okay to accept the fact that you probably won't reach their level, and if you do, it'll just take you significantly longer, which is fine. Like, bro, you got decades of your life to reach that type of build if you want to. You don't gotta rush it when you're young. And the reality is, you probably won't even want to keep up with that type of physique because it'll be too much work.
That's true. It's a lot of work. However, a lot of people think that you have to go to the gym for hours on end. If you're on steroids, you can pull that off because it helps your recovery so much that you can do that. But for a normal person who's not, if you're every day in the gym for hours on end, if anything, you might actually lose size because your body doesn't have time to recover. High intensity training is probably the best way to gain muscle and not waste your whole life in the gym. That's what I've been doing for a bit now, where I'm only in the gym. On any exercise, I do 2 sets. I do my warm-up set, and then I go max weight, basically, where I try to get between 8 to 10 reps. Once you're over 10, you go up your weight. But I've seen such crazy strength enhances every freaking time I'm going to the gym. I'm getting new PRs doing this. And I'm not wasting all day. I'm only in there for like half an hour. And I've gained so much strength doing this, and I'm not wasting my life in there. When I was younger, I used to spend a lot of time in there, and it was such a waste of time. I really wish I knew about high intensity training. But if you're not on steroids, go the high intensity route.
We got, which 90% of my audience will relate to, is unemployment. Unemployment is the new cool lifestyle that everyone's getting into.
34.
34? Okay, what do you do?
I am a risk taker.
I goon and watch episodes of Friends.
I'm a road runner. I'm an entrepreneur.
I mean, think of it. You can nibble off of someone else's work for free while laying down on a couch and watching your favorite TV show. Society's become so cooked that anyone who quits their job or anyone who's applied to more than 5 and got denied just give up and decide to live that lifestyle. You even mention the word job to certain and they start quivering in fear for their life. You know what? I'm feeling pretty evil today. Let's go ahead and go on a TOS run to get me packed out of here real quick. And I do want to put a disclaimer. What you're about to hear may be disturbing. Job. Employment. Working.
No.
Career.
No.
Business. Profession. Operation. I feel free being able to say what I want. I feel like the world is in the palm of my hand. For some reason, even though it feels like no one is getting a job now, we're actually reaching low levels of employment, well, at least compared to 2020. Moment of silence for all my who were looking for a job during COVID. Glad that wasn't me, because God knows where I would be right now. The thing that's
the back of a Wendy's.
doom Gen Z is as soon as finally started to get their degrees and get ready for the real world, AI had to advance at levels we never thought possible. I might have to make a video on just this alone. Man, we all thought AI would take jobs like fast food and have robots flipping burgers, but that's it. Now you got AI that can code entire websites for free. You got AI.
Yeah, and all those people 10 years ago who were saying to people, oh, just learn to code when they lost their job. Now what are you gonna do, huh? Because now AI is actually taking over the coding jobs as well. Like, I've seen so many jobs. Literally the last 2 months, every couple days I've seen a headline about some company laying off X amount of people because AI is now taking those positions. Does anyone see this is not going to end well? This is not going to end well.
AI that automatically run YouTube channels and generate them unlimited money. And for us, it was a big rush of people getting STEM degrees because everyone was saying that was the speed run to get a 6-figure job. It's great to know that all those degrees are completely useless now that those jobs are taken by AI. So no wonder everyone's giving up and are embracing their unemployment. And when GTA 6 drops, mark my words, will quit their jobs just to have time to play this once-in-a-lifetime game.
Yeah, I'm actually so hyped for this game. I'm so hyped for
I'm
it.
truly scared for the job market in that moment. Hospitals are gonna be empty from doctors and nurses trying to finish the GTA 6 storyline. So anyways, that's about it. If you don't align close to any of the things I mentioned, then congrats, you're one of the special ones. Follow me on Twitter.
Holy crap, this is a long video. Oh my word, it's almost 40 minutes. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. I enjoyed this. You know, I think there's definitely a lot more addictions popping up, and a lot more people are addicted to stuff nowadays than they were 10, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, to be honest. But at some point, people really have to learn the ability of taking control of themselves, because addiction in itself is lack of control of yourself. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Whatever, I enjoyed it, and yeah, I think I'd rate this out of a 10. I don't know, like an 8. But with that being said, I'll see you guys next time.